AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas has the doors and the roof wide open as the Dallas Cowboys, the playoff-bound Dallas Cowboys, aim for their fifth straight win against the NFC East as they welcome in the Washington football team. And we welcome you in to the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Welcome into Cowboys Pregame Live. We're soon to be joined by Nate Newton, Britt Johnson, and Nick Eatman. Nick being live on the sidelines out at AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys are back home once again after 3 straight games on the road, all of which ending up in a win. One against the Saints, one against the New York Giants last week, and against this very same Washington football team. And we'll get to them in just a couple of moments. But first, we got to see how the Cowboys have an opportunity to wrap up the NFC East title tonight. It'll either take a win or they can actually wrap up prior to kickoff, being that the Las Vegas Raiders get a win over the Denver Broncos. And as you see there, they did just that. The Las Vegas Raiders helping the Dallas Cowboys clinch the NFC East title. It's the first time since 2018 that the Cowboys have won the division. Third time as Dak Prescott being the starter. And the Cowboys not only playoff bound, but they will have a home game at AT&T Stadium as at least the 1 through the 4 seed. Still everything on the table for the Dallas Cowboys as NFC East champs and at 10-4. So, gentlemen, I ask you, you've both been a part of divisional titles. How big is it to wrap it up this early on?
This is huge. This is huge for the Dallas Cowboys and for Mike McCarthy. I mean, look at that last year. This team was 6-10. This defense was playing historically bad, and it's been a complete 180. Right now, they clinched the division. They clinched a playoff berth, and so this team is sitting high. Defense is playing great. What a job Mike McCarthy and his team has done.
As my guy BC just said, the bounce back was real. All right, these boys did a total 180, as he mentioned, coming back from last year. But now they're in a position where they can put away that goal, right? That was the first goal. That's the first tangible thing you have to do. Win the NFC East. Cool, that's awesome. Throw it up to the side. Now what's the next thing? Okay, control what you can control. Win the rest of your games. Put yourself in the best position possible to try to get that first round bye.
You mentioned it, that the Cowboys should not be satisfied with winning the division. A division, of course, like the NFC East, that has not been very good over the last couple of years. But is it still a chip off the shoulder in terms of, okay, now we've gotten that done, there's a bit of relief going into the final 3 games?
I would hope not. And the reason why I say that is simply because of the fact that your expectation should be greater than just your division. And when you have a team that's built like this, when you have a coaching staff that's built like this, your expectation should be that playoff run, whether that's a 3-game run or whether that's a 4-game run. That should be your expectation. That's where your sights need to be. And winning your division is just a part of the journey.
Yeah, winning your division is definitely a part of it. And I know they have bigger goals than that. They have bigger goals than just winning the division. They want to have a long, sustained playoff run. And I think this team is capable of doing it. They just cannot relax. They still have to fight for playoff seeding. So there's still a lot on the table for this Dallas Cowboys team.
Jerry Jones said it earlier that they are not satisfied with just a division title or a playoff berth. They want to make a run. They want to win a Super Bowl, and the Cowboys wrapping up the division for the first time since 2018, even prior to kickoff. But we do have a game to talk about, and we're going to preview it for you here over the next hour. And let's start by talking about this Washington football team, a squad that the Cowboys have seen very recently. It's the second time in the last 3 weeks that these two teams have clashed. What kind of added element does that bring to the table?
It's tough. It's tough in my opinion because this team knows your strengths. They know your weaknesses out there. And just like we mentioned, you beat them 2 weeks ago. So they know exactly how you were able to beat them out there, which is going to make it a little bit tougher. What the Cowboys are going to have to do is they're going to have to fight that urge to just relax. You know, we just mentioned it. They clinched the playoffs. They clinched the division. They beat this team 2 weeks ago. They're going to have to fight that urge to relax and really stay focused in and locked in on this game tonight against Washington.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate to what BC just said. I think that it's actually advantageous for these guys to turn around and play these guys right back again 2 weeks later. Reason being, all your analysis, all your film study, all your install is all still fresh. Like Barry said, for Washington, they understand what you do. Well, guess what? You do too, right? You know exactly what their strengths are, you know what their weaknesses are, and you know exactly how it worked for you last time and what tweaks you need to make sure that you guys continue to have this victory today.
There was a game that just 14 days ago, as we take a look at the final score, 27-20 was the final score, and the Cowboys actually jumped out to a 24-0 lead at the halftime break. And here's the statistics on it. A lot of the stats for Washington came in the fourth quarter as they came all the way back, brought it to a one-possession game, and actually had the ball again. So maybe the strong start for the Cowboys is encouraging, but how much does the strong finish give an advantage to Washington?
It gives a huge advantage, in my opinion, because it shows that the Dallas Cowboys let their foot off the gas pedal, and you cannot do that, especially in a division game where we just talked about they know your strengths, they know your weaknesses. You cannot let the foot off the gas in this instant, especially going against this Washington football team.
I agree. I think Washington feels like they're coming into this game, even though they might get up, even though they might continue to expand this lead, they still are going to leave us a window of opportunity. And when you see that window of opportunity, just like my boy Debo did, you crack that window open, you step right in. So hopefully Dallas Cowboys close that window, don't allow any seepage for these guys to step through.
You just go and kick it all down, punch it in, doesn't matter. Find a way to get it done and continue the momentum that they had in the first half of that game, not necessarily so much in the second half. They'll have an opportunity to face that Washington team without two key parts of the secondary as Malik Hooker and Jordan Lewis added to the COVID reserve list. Both of these guys in the secondary playing significant roles and significant minutes. Barry, how much are they going to be missed?
I see this as being a huge loss for the secondary for the Dallas Cowboys. When you talk about Malik Hooker, we saw what he was capable of doing last week. He had the interception, a lot of solid tackles out there. He was flying around the football. And then you look at Jordan Lewis, who's basically been a ball guy since the start. I mean, whether it's intercepting, forcing fumbles, recovering fumbles, this guy is all around the football. So these two losses in the secondary could be huge for the Dallas Cowboys defense.
Right on, Bear. This is absolutely huge, and this sucks for the Dallas Cowboys simply because these guys accounted for 50% of your turnovers last week. Both of these guys had an interception. Malik Hooker is starting to build his confidence. You're starting to see why he was a first-round pick. The play he made last week, the interception, where he was in the box as a down safety, and he dropped back into the second half safety and made that interception. That was absolutely amazing. He's showing you why these guys took a risk on him. It's going to be unfortunate that they're missing both of those guys today.
Jordan Lewis with 3 interceptions on the year as well, 23 total stops compared to Maurice Kennedy, who just has 42 snaps all year long. So Jordan Lewis has almost as many stops on the year as Maurice Kennedy has snaps. So with that being said, it will be a significant loss for the Cowboys in that secondary. Let's go back out to AT&T Stadium for the first time, where we have Nick Eatman. The Cowboys back at home for the first time in almost a month, Nick, and I'm sure you're glad to not be on the road again. How's the atmosphere as the roof is open and things are starting to fill in?
Yeah, it's definitely a good atmosphere here. You know, I say this all the time. Anytime you see white towels, usually it means a good thing for the home team. We'll see how many of them are waving when kickoff is. But, when they were showing the Raiders Denver game up on the screen, a lot of fans were very curious, and they understand, very knowledgeable, knowing what was at stake. A lot of cheering going on when Denver lost that game and the Raiders won it, helped the Cowboys clinch here before the game started.
So, Nick, with that being said, do you feel like the fact that the Cowboys have already clinched the division takes the air out of the sails a little bit, or do you think it actually pushes this team forward now that they are divisional champs but still so much on the table?
Well, if it takes the wind out of the sails, then everything you guys just said before I came on here just means nothing to this team. That means it would be bad leadership, bad coaching, all of that. If they're excited about winning the NFC East only, well, congratulations. You'll be home in mid-January. But I think you guys said it best, and I think this team believes there's bigger goals at stake. Yes, you want to start checking them off. Do you want to make the playoffs? Sure. Win the division? Sure. They're doing that with still 3 games to play. That's impressive. We've seen it go down to the very end. Isaiah, you guys have seen games where at the very last game of the season just trying to get into the playoffs. So it's impressive, but they certainly have bigger goals. And what I was told just now, there is no talk in the locker room. No hats, no T-shirts. Nothing is being discussed at all. It'll be brought out at the end of the game, win or lose, but they're not talking about it right now.
Nick, what's going on? Happy holidays to you and yours. Hopefully you had a very Merry Christmas. But let's talk about this offensive line. With Tyron Smith being out, do we expect more of that rotating offensive line or rotating left tackle position with Ty Nsekhe and Terrence Steele?
I do think that you're going to see that. I think that Terrence Steele's your starter, but I think they feel like they need some beef, especially when in blocking, short yardage running situations down by the goal line. I think you're going to see both of them in there, and the best way to keep them engaged is to rotate a little bit. So then when Nsekhe needs to go in or Terrence Steele, they wanted to do that. They don't really have that jumbo blocking tight end. So with McGovern playing some fullback and another tackle, yeah, I think you're going to see both of them out there.
Nick, good to see you, man. Hey, we just got the news that Jay Lou is going to be out. Jordan Lewis is going to be absent for this game. Who is going to be the next man up, and what is his defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn's, confidence level in the man that's going to be stepping up and try to fill those shoes?
Well, I think that, Kennedy was the guy that's brought up from a roster spot situation, hasn't played a lot. I think this is a good time to see what Kelvin Joseph has, and this is something the Cowboys have wanted to see, because you're going to get to next year and you're going to need to figure out, what does this guy have? He didn't play a lot last year, so he'll be a good opportunity. The problem, though, is not many guys can go slide in and play in the slot. That's why I think Jordan Lewis is one of the more underrated players on this team, because he plays a position not many guys can do. Diggs can do it. He gets in there some, and Anthony Brown has done it as well. But it's just different. It's a different animal to just run in there and play in the slot. So if McLaurin is going to be shadowed around by Diggs like we saw 2 weeks ago, that means everyone else is shuffling as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. I'm expecting some snaps for Kelvin Joseph.
Going to be an adjustment, no doubt about it. No adjustment here as Nick Eatman is back where he belongs, on the sideline at AT&T Stadium. Nick, thanks so much for taking some time. We'll talk to you again next week. And as we continue on with Pregame Live, you actually talked about it a moment ago, about the shifting up front on the offensive line and a couple different pieces moving around. They made the switch last week to put Connor Williams at the left guard spot. Here's what he had to say earlier in the week about finally getting that position back and what he's learned along the way over the last couple of months.
Obviously we've been working at it week by week, trying to get the pieces together. Zeke's getting healthier, and it's good to see him healthy. But yeah, I think you have cohesion with guys. I think certain guys play a certain style, and some guys are expecting when you take one step for you to be there, and so you just have to have a good cohesion together to be able to play as a unit, as an O-line.
Was it though after last season they have been your most consistent year, and then coming this season you have that type of stuff?
Obviously it was really frustrating, but I had to put my pride aside me, and it was about the team. It was about the greater picture, and so I had to take a step back, put my pride aside me, and come to work, and being able to just do what I would promise myself I'd do and give myself to the team.
What did the coaches say when they told you that Connor McGovern was going to be starting, and did they mention it all? Sometimes you just got to get the rest attention somewhere else before you come back in.
I think they took a couple hard looks week after week. Obviously, there were penalties that were called and that looked like holding, and so there's nothing you can. Only thing I can do about that is being able to work on my technique and being able to execute better on the next game.
I think sometimes that once you get a couple, refs are watching a little bit more, and you might not be holding the guy.
I think you can definitely get your attention drawn and some notes taken, but at the end of the day, it's about focusing on my technique, on my craft. Obviously, there's a balance of aggression with the game, but then again, being able to let go at the last minute so a hold doesn't get called.
Connor Williams talking about what he has learned up front on that offensive line, and that's an offense that's still trying to get off the ground a little bit, and maybe they have a little added motivation as the defense and the offense have a bet together. We're going to talk more about that coming up, but as well as the defense has been playing, the offense hasn't caught up yet. The offensive line, a big part of that. Do you think this defense has enough juice to lead this team through the playoffs?
It does, because this team, it plays well, but when a defense plays well going into the playoffs, it can give the offense the opportunity to get the ball back, or either off of big turnovers or the necessary 3 and out. This defense is playing well because since the what was the game? The New Orleans game, they've been playing well, and they've been getting pieces back each week. And now we lost Jay Lou, but that we can hold together for that. But this team is coming, man.
12 takeaways in the last 3 games. And if anybody would have told you back in Oxnard, California, as Nate Newton was standing on the sideline taking his notes over how this Cowboys team is looking, if they said the defense was leading the way, what would you have said back?
I'd be like, who defense? You talking about the Ravens? But it's the Cowboys, and they've done a great job, and all the coaches have come together, man, and made this thing work. They know they coach their positions well, and they do what they have to do.
Yeah, definitely so. Doing what you have to do, by the way, with the holiday red. I love the jacket, rocking it. on Cowboys Pregame Live. Of course, Nate Newton,
that.
6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champ. Let's take a look at inactive list today. Only 4 names on here: Will Grier, Israel Mukuamu, Kyron Brown, who was added in the absence of a guy like Jordan Lewis, elevated off the practice squad, and then Tyron Smith out for the 2nd straight game, still dealing with an ankle injury. Cowboys didn't expect to get Tyron Smith back this week, but still, how big of a loss is he? And what do you expect that rotation to look like at the left tackle spot?
We got 2 guys that are going to be competing for that, Steele and Ty and Sinky. They're going to be going after it. They're going to be rotating in. Tyron is just a big loss altogether, man. But Jordan Lewis, that's the way this defense has been playing. With Jordan Lewis missing, man, whoever they put in for him will have to play big, because this cat has been playing big for the last 6 weeks.
And as Nick said a moment ago, that might be Maurice Kennedy. It might be Kelvin Joseph. There's a couple different options to go in for Jordan Lewis. And then, of course, no Malik Hooker on the back end at the safety spot. You thought maybe Israel Mukuamu could be active with that, but he is still on the inactive list. All right, so we just talked about the offensive line. We saw what Connor Williams had to say earlier in the week. Did you see any improvement in his play at the left guard spot whenever he was inserted in? And how much of an impact did he make on that run game?
Everything. He was everything. What we was able to do this week, man, we got back to the old run game of getting these guys piloted out to the outside. He pulled real well, and he played good against a great player in Leonard Williams, the great defensive tackle for the New York Giants, a bright spot for the New York Giants. He's a great run defender. He's a great pass rusher, and this kid handled him, man. He did what he had to do, and he said he worked on his technique, and it showed, because he was not pushed back on top of the quarterback much.
Connor Williams replacing Connor McGovern following the Washington game. So that was kind of the defensive front that forced the Cowboys' hand at making a switch. Do you feel like they'll have a better go at it today against Washington?
Oh, definitely, man. I mean, you know what? This kid has learned. He told you he worked on his technique. He swallowed his pride. He did what he had to do. He worked on his technique. He worked on his leg strength. And last week I watched him, man. His lateral movement was so great. And yes, he's letting loose earlier. He's letting loose earlier. That's keeping him from holding.
Yeah, the holding calls were certainly a big reason for that. Had 3 of them in the final start, or the more recent start before last week, where he didn't have any penalties. He only allowed 1 pressure, Connor Williams, against the New York Giants in Week 15. Now, let's talk about the offense as a whole. When you talk about the offensive struggles over the last couple of weeks, they've seen their numbers continue to go down. What's been the biggest problem on that unit throughout the last, let's say, month and a half?
For me personally, I know I'm supposed to be talking about the offensive line, but what's been the biggest thing to me is the drop passes. We have to be a better unit. It's not dropping passes. We see Dak has not found a rhythm, but when he does make that play and when he does get that ball off on time, we as receivers have to catch the ball. Not me, but those guys that are on the field, they have to catch that ball, and that's been the biggest eyesore for me. Drop passes will kill drives.
Now, pass catchers, at least in the Cowboys locker room, are some of the best in the NFL. But how much of that also relies on Dak Prescott throwing the ball?
It's a lot. I mean, with his mechanics, with him being mentally right. But, he's been on a little duress here because they've been switching offensive lines, which is my second biggest deal. But now that they've settled that offensive line, they know what's going on. Dak seemed to have found a rhythm last week. But the drop passes, I'm telling you, trust me, that has to stop, because if you want your quarterback to really get into a groove, you have to catch those big plays and the small plays too.
Do you feel like the offense gets back on track here in the final month of the regular season?
I think they do. I think they've just been rolling along, and I know that shouldn't be with a Cowboys team that's been sporadic over the years. I think they've just been rolling along. I think Kellum is going to come out of his bag, as the young guys like to say, and do some tricks.
Yeah, that Cowboys offense trying to keep up with the Cowboys defense and what that they have brought to the table over the last couple of weeks. And now they have a little motivation there as well. I promised we would get to the bet, touchdowns versus turnovers. Here's Micah Parsons on the bet that's at hand, and a little competition, healthy competition between the offense and the defense.
Man, we peaking at the right time. We're extremely confident we're going to win that battle. And I know Dak good for it. He's going to pay up at the end of the year. We all know he's good for it. So we'll be collecting at that final game.
Is it one of those bets that's not terrible if you lose because it means they're scoring and helping?
Yeah, it's a win-win situation. You can't win. I hope they go out and score 10 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Make my job a whole lot easier. I know it's going to be passing down every time.
Y'all talking about it in practice every day? Do you have something up?
Nah, it's just a friendly reminder right before the game. You know what I mean? Don't forget what's on, and we've been doing our part.
Micah, Dan was talking to us about how when you make a mistake, you never make the same mistake twice. Where does that football IQ and instincts come from, or where can you trace that ability to?
I just know, I mean, just as a competitor, people target your weaknesses. So I always try to make sure, like, no matter what I do, and I try and tell George and Q all the time, I was like, all right, I won't make the same mistake twice. I never do, because once you're known for something, you're always known for it. So I try to just be known for playing pretty much perfect if I can. So I really just say the dedication and the grind and the hunger to, just wanting to be better at everything I do.
So the reported prize of the bet for who gets more, which unit gets more touchdowns or turnovers, is a full paid vacation from the other side. So with that being said, if it were over the last 3 weeks, the defense would probably have the best case scenario. These are averages. Reminder of that. This is not just total. This is averages. 12 points, 184 passing yards. Those 4 turnovers on average, probably the biggest one, along with 33% on third down. Both of those numbers, Barry Church, are going to win you a ton of football games.
Without a doubt, and it looks like they're going to win them the bet as well. But I'm glad I didn't make any of these type of bets when I was playing, because we would have lost each and every year to the offense. But look, it's good to see these players having fun with it. They're not out there just all clamped up, because that's the last thing you need going into the playoffs, is your team to be all uptight and the pressure just too much for them. So it looks like they're having a good time out there. They're loose with it, and I'm glad they're having fun.
Man, love what you do and do what you love. I said it when Dan Quinn was first hired, that he was going to come on and change the culture of this team. He was going to bring a cohesiveness. He was going to bring a sense of competitiveness. And you're just seeing this is just an affirmation of Dan Quinn's vision coming to fruition.
Okay, so where would you guys go on a full paid vacation? If you had an opportunity, where would you go?
Easily. I'm going to Japan.
Going to Japan?
Easy.
Get a little sushi out.
Mm-hmm. I'm between Dubai and South Africa.
Not really sure. Solid choices.
I like both of them.
I want it to be expensive.
You want it to be a punishment for losing the bet. Okay, I see how Isaiah's talking about it. Now, the Cowboys could get a lot of help from the secondary in that regard. They've already had a ton of help from a secondary that leads the NFL in interceptions, and Trevon Diggs is leading the way with 10. He is just one away from tying the Cowboys' single-season interception mark. Of course, Everson Walls right up there at the top. He's on that list a couple of times. But, of course, his 1981 season is one of the reasons why he is so heralded throughout this entire organization. But do you feel like Trevon Diggs, with 3 games left, can catch what Walls did in 81?
100% yes, I think he can catch Everson Walls. And I'll tell you this much, Kyle and Isaiah, if he is shadowing scary Terry McLaurin the whole afternoon, he'll break that record tonight.
Wow.
And further solidify why he is the best corner in the National Football League.
Goodness gracious,
is that right?
That is true.
Okay, I see what you did there. First of all, I want to say they need to put some respect. The Hall of Fame needs to put some respect to my guy, Everson Walls' name. But number 2, the answer is yes. All right, yes, he will break that record this year. And I'm going to go down the line, okay? Heineke, he loves our DBs.
Yes.
Okay, so Heineke's going to give us one for sure. As we get ready to play Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray has 6 interceptions in the last 6 games. And then going forward, Jalen Hurts has 5 interceptions in the last 4 games. So as long as our guy Diggs is on the field, playing on one half of the field, he has a 50% chance of getting a pick every game.
How about that? Isaiah Stanback's research is better than yours at home, no doubt about it. With that being said, though, Trevon Diggs up against Terry McLaurin back in Week 14, 3 targets, no receptions, as Diggs completely locked down McLaurin, and he's starting to get that national recognition he has throughout the year because of the interceptions, but he's also been named to the Pro Bowl. Here's what he had to say earlier in the week about his Pro Bowl selection and the opportunity to be in the Pro Bowl alongside his brother.
It means a lot to me. Just being able to go to the Pro Bowl and, just being able to go up there with, all those great players that, I once looked up to. And, I always ask those guys for help, so it's just paid off. And, I just appreciate those guys as well. But, it's a great honor and I appreciate it. Like, I'm truly thankful.
How much was making the Pro Bowl together talked about at all? Was it something you guys?
We never talked about it. Like, we just worked. And one thing he said was, when we meet, we're going to meet, So, we met. We're Pro Bowl, so. It's pretty cool, just being able to just put our heads down and just work hard, and we all just come meet them at the Pro Bowl, so it's pretty cool.
What is that one of the first things?
That would be cooler. That would be cooler. Yep, that'll be cooler.
You're saying after the game that you had the 10 interceptions was your goal. Have you reset it for these final 3 games on what you want to finish with now, and anything you care to share?
If I could get another 10, that would be great in these last 3 games. So I don't know. I'm gonna just go out there and put my best foot forward and see what I come up with.
Do you expect anything different from Washington, considering you saw them 2 weeks ago? In terms of scheme or what they do or how they attack you guys?
I feel like it's going to be a dogfight. They're going to put their best foot forward. We're going to put our best foot forward. And, we know exactly what everyone wants to do. We know what they want to do. They know what we want to do. So it's going to be a good match.
Trayvon Diggs now up to 10 interceptions, making the Cowboys just the 6th team in NFL history to have a player with 10 interceptions and 10 sacks. Micah Parsons, of course, with those 12 sacks in his rookie campaign. And it's kind of surprising that it's been so long that the Cowboys have had 2 individuals playing so well, because they've had guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, who you had a chance to catch up with.
I actually got to catch up with him. Amazing, fun guy. Who knew he was such a fun guy? Because he actually shared with me his hidden talent. You don't want to miss this one.
Like, I'm still trying to learn this old move. It's called a jerk, but I need to skip back. Jerk, 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 jerk. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Britt Johnson here with DeMarcus Lawrence. It is time to go 0 to 100, presented by Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You ready to hit the field?
Let's go.
Let's do this. All right, our first question that we have for you. Would you rather play in the snow, the rain, or the heat?
I choose the heat. I have more control over those circumstances.
Is heat good football weather for you? Get you going? It's like being in a sauna though, right?
Yeah, I mean, all 3 of them can be miserable, but, I choose heat over snow.
All right, pre-game meal. What's your go-to?
I'd say pasta, any types of pasta. Just for the carbs and, the full.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
Best subject when you were in school?
Oh, math, of course.
Zach Martin said the same thing. We got a bunch of math whizzes on the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Best gift you have ever been given?
Been given. I think my 10-year-old gift for Christmas was a Pikachu chain.
Pikachu? I remember Pikachu. That's
that was
awesome.
my favorite.
Do you have a real Pikachu chain now that's all blinged out?
Nah, I think I outgrowed it.
Maybe next year for Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
No. Okay. What are you most afraid of?
Getting old.
Getting old.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could compare yourself to any animal, what animal would it be?
I'd say a lizard.
A lizard? Why a lizard?
Because they're slippery, and you get through the smallest cracks. So.
Nice. That's a good one. Which movie do you think needs a sequel?
Ooh, that's a good one. You have to ask that on the way back.
That one's hard. I knew I was going to trip you up on one of these.
Yeah.
What's your favorite holiday movie?
Holiday movie? I can't remember the name of it. It was with not Sylvester Stallone, but the other guy.
Die Hard?
Nah, it's not Die Hard, but it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie?
He had to go and find this little toy for his son, and he had to play the action figure in the parade. And his son.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. We'll put it on the screen for the people. We'll figure it out what it is.
All right, cool.
All right, what is your hidden talent?
My hidden talent.
We all know what you're really good at, but what's a hidden talent that you have?
I think I could dance, but my kids tell me
We might have
not
to see that in the end zone. We might have to see a move. And game day hype song.
Game day hype song. Let's go, Little Boosie, set it off.
All right, I might need to see some dance moves here.
Dance moves.
We just got a touchdown. What's our dance move?
Like, I'm still trying to learn this old move. It's called a jerk.
Wait, the one?
Yeah, no,
is it that
but
one?
like I keep skipping forward, but I need to skip back.
Jerk.
Jerk, 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 jerk. Yeah.
Okay, we both need to work on that one. Before we get out of here, we have a deserving fan that has a question for you if you want to take a listen to that.
All right.
Hello, DeMarcus Lawrence. My name is Carol Hamilton, and I love defense. I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan since I was a child and been a season pass holder since they built the new stadium. My question for you is, what encourages you to work so hard at being successful? God bless.
Yes, what encourages me? I can say God first, and then my family. Being able to have kids that look up to you, you don't have no choice but to set a good example. So, God and my family.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on 0 to 100, presented by Dr. Pepper, Zero Sugar. I'm Britt Johnson. Take Lawrence, and we're going to jerk on out of here.
Already.
Come on.
Awesome job, as always, by Britt Johnson. But what about the jerk, the dance moves?
That was downright awful.
1 to 10?
I give it a 0.
A 0? You don't even get a 1 from Barry Church.
Wow.
DeMarcus Lawrence, much better as a pass rusher than he is as a dancer, no doubt about it. Barry Church, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and it's the second time in 3 weeks that DeMarcus Lawrence will have an opportunity to chase down this guy, Taylor Heinicke, as this is what he did back in Week 14. Against the Dallas Cowboys. It wasn't a great day for Mr. Heinicke as well. He missed last week as he was on the COVID reserve list. Garrett Gilbert was the starter for Washington playing against the Philadelphia Eagles. They came up short in that one. So all of a sudden, this is a team that was really finding their rhythm prior to the Cowboys win in Week 14, and since then they've lost 2 straight. What else has changed for this Washington team?
Well, I think their offensive line play has definitely taken a huge drop off from when the earlier part of the season. And right now, going against our Dallas Cowboys team, this front seven, I can see them playing the game a little bit different. I think it'll be a little bit more slightly downhill runs in between the tackles. They'll try to get the ball out of Taylor Heinicke's hands pretty fast. So you'll see a lot more screens and maybe a lot more 3-step quick drop because they got to get it out of his hands fast because this Dallas front seven, they're coming after Heinicke.
And I'm with you there, Church. They had a lot of positive things going into the game, but all of a sudden you have a turnover by Gibson. You know, he fumbles the ball. You have an interception by the young Heinicke, man. Their momentum is not high right now. They're not rolling. So right now, if we come out and put our foot on their neck, they'll fall apart soon.
Yeah, they were 6-6, had won 4 straight entering that Week 14 matchup, and since then they've lost to the Cowboys, and then they lost to Philadelphia last week, now traveling on the road to play the Cowboys today. The Cowboys also had an opportunity to shut down their passing game along with Taylor Heinicke because Antonio Gibson, the ground game, never got going to have that balance on the offensive side of the football. He still leads Washington on the season with 860 rushing yards, 8 total touchdowns. But how do they bottle him up again, Barry?
Without a doubt, I think they can repeat the performance they had against Gibson in this Washington team. I think Dallas's front seven is way too talented and way too deep for this Washington football team to handle. So I expect Dallas to make Washington one-dimensional and force Heinicke to try to beat them with his arm. And I just do not think he has the capabilities of doing just that.
Yeah, they say he's a young gunslinger, man. But when you're a gunslinger, that means you'll throw the ball anywhere. Under pressure, you'll get even wilder and more sporadic. So if we can get ahead, 7 to 8 points, maybe 9 points, that's going to put their offensive coordinator in a panic position, and they'll start throwing the ball all over the place, man. We got too many pass rushes for that.
Do you think that Antonio Gibson has an opportunity to establish that run early on as one of the better tailbacks throughout the year? He's been dealing with an injury as well. Do you still think they could get off the ground?
Nah, like Church said earlier, their offensive line is in shambles, and they ain't going to be able to recover. We got too much going on with Gallimore in the middle, taking over, doing what he's doing, man. And, hey, Cowboys just too much.
I'm with you 100% on that, Big Nate. I feel like the front seven for the Cowboys is just entirely too talented. I know Gibson is a heck of a back there, but he's dealing with injuries, and the poor play of Washington's front offensive line is just not good enough. I don't see him having a big day today.
Yeah, that Washington game back in Week 14 was actually the first game where Randy Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence, Neville Gallimore all had an opportunity to get on the field. They all shined in that game. Then they came back and they were just as good in Week 15. And Randy Gregory's talked about it all year long, that once those guys get back and ready, that's just a completely different defense. So they're going to try and keep that momentum going into the final 3 games of the regular season. Here's, in his own words, what Randy Gregory had to say about keeping that momentum alive.
It's a big confidence boost. You know, DeMarcus he's our leader, physically on the field, and having him there just kind of makes us go a little bit faster, play a little bit faster, a little bit smarter. You know, you have the cohesiveness, and guys really know what to do, have the timing down, things like that. So having him out there is just a plus any week.
Now that he's in year 8, and you think he's like looking at it and appreciating this moment of what you guys can do, maybe more than you guys would have in 15, 16, 18?
I don't know. I definitely know he appreciates that. I think we all realize how special we are as a group. I think we all have, one common goal, and that's to win and win a Super Bowl. And it's nice to see the different teams we've had here, and to see us kind of come together the way we have this year. It's really special, regardless of the outcome. We have a real good group of guys, not just on the field, but just the locker room. Everyone seems like, you can hang out with anybody and talk to anybody. There's real good brotherhood in here, probably more than I'm used to, even in college, so it's refreshing. It's nice to see.
Randy Gregory had himself a game in Week 14 against the Washington football team. Not only did he have his first career interception, but he also had a big-time forced fumble on the final defensive possession to close out a win. Speaking of closing out, Barry Church has an idea of how the Cowboys can close out the season. Let's go to a little bit of church service with Britt Johnson. Britt?
Thanks so much, Kyle. Britt Johnson here. And they always say it's not how you start the season, but how you end the season. So we got to do a little church service. So I got my guy Barry Church in here, who played in 3 strong seasons that led to playoff appearances. One of them took you all the way to an AFC championship game. No better person to ask than finishing the season off strong. How are our guys going to do this?
Well, I'm going to jump straight into this, Britt, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Number 1 on my list, defensively, do not change a thing. Whatever Dan Quinn is feeding these guys, it is working. They are currently tied for first place in the National Football League with 31 total takeaways. They're also first in the National Football League on third down defense. So that means they're getting off the field and they're getting the ball back to their offense. So to me, taking the football away at a high rate, playing great defense on third down, that is a formula for success, and that is what this team can lean on, especially with the playoffs right around the corner.
Well, I'll tell you this. I did talk to Neville Gallimore about what they are actually getting fed. Michael's secret sauce. It's Michael's secret stuff from Space Jam. If you guys didn't watch that movie, he said that's probably the key to their success. What you got for number 2 here?
Number 2, offensively, we have got to find some type of identity right now, whether it's leaning on the ground and pound with Zeke and Pollard, or it's getting that more balanced approach like we've seen earlier in the season. We have got to find an identity, because right now this offense, they look lost out there, and they're not able to finish out teams at the end of games. And when they get to the playoffs, those teams will be able to take advantage of that. So we have got to get this offense an identity, get this offense back on track if we want to go where they think they can go, which is the Super Bowl.
Yes, we saw them run the ball a lot more last week, so hopefully they can continue that at a high level. Had over 125 yards doing that, but passing game, let's get both of them to come together at the same time. What you got for number 3?
Last but certainly not least, we have got to stay healthy. Britt, I know you've seen it tons of time. At the end of the year, the team that's hoisting that Super Bowl trophy over their heads, 9 times out of 10, they were the healthiest team to come into the playoffs. So we have got to stay healthy. Defensively, we're good. This is the healthiest and the best I've seen this defense all year. Offensively, hopefully we can get Tyron Smith up and ready to go for the playoffs, but we have got to stay healthy, because to me, the most important fact or most important feature of getting into the playoffs and having a long, sustained playoff run is health. And right now, the Cowboys have that on their side. Hopefully it continues for the rest of this season.
Yes, and let's hope the health also takes, the COVID protocol side. This is a totally different thing that players are going to have to deal with this year and going into this playoff run. So hopefully we can stay healthy on the COVID side as well as physically healthy as well. Thank you so much, Barry Church. Those were great. Back to you guys.
So now that Barry Church has given his keys to a Cowboys victory and closing the season out strong, Amari Cooper has his own idea of a couple keys to victory, and one of those is get him the rock.
I ain't really doing nothing. We got a whole bunch of playmakers on offense, and there's only one ball. So I think it's more of that than what the defense is doing. It's not like I'm not getting double teamed and stuff like that. But I'm just staying ready for when my opportunity does come, because it will come. And that's the thing you got to be cognizant of, like, your number not being called in a long time, and then it's going to get called, like, at the most important time. And you might not be ready for it because it hasn't been called in so long. But I'm just going to stay ready so that when it does happen, I'm just like my normal self,
Is that frustrating, though? I mean, because you do have a lot of playmakers, but things are not clicking as you want them to on offense, then you're not getting the ball.
No, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, but that's not something that I can really control. You know what I'm saying? It's not nothing I can really control, but I do think there's a benefit in me getting the ball in those important situations like red zone and third down. because, I know what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm just going to stay ready for when that time comes. Hopefully it's soon. So.
You talk to them about looking to you in those situations more than they have?
Yeah, of course. Like I said last week, I'm always in Dak's ear. I'm always talking to Kellen. So at the end of the day, it's not really my call, But like I said again, I'm gonna stay ready.
Of Amari Cooper. These are the numbers over the last 5 games, just the 23 targets. And if you want to go all the way back to week 8, that was the last time that Amari Cooper had a 100-plus receiving yard game. And Cooper Rush was the quarterback. That was in week 8, of course, on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. That ultimately turned into a win. Welcome back into the Star in Frisco. Cowboys pregame live. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. And there may be a little bit on the side of Amari Cooper because the numbers certainly show he has not been getting the rock. Just 2 receptions last week, 8 yards. Do you think he has a bit of a case to try and open this offense back up?
Without a doubt, I think he has more than just a little bit of a case. He has a major case right here. And to me, I'm saying with that $20 million price tag, he needs to be getting a lot of targets, especially in the red zone. And they just haven't been able to find this guy. I don't know if he's getting locked up or if they just can't find him out there. But they need to be getting this guy the rock more. He deserves it. And I think he should be getting the rock.
BC, I'm with you. And I don't like counting guys' money, but let me just help you guys understand this picture. This is your franchise receiver.
Yep.
He is making $1.1 million per game. Per game. Over the last 5 games, Dallas Cowboys are averaging 41 pass attempts per game. You know what he's averaging on catches?
What are you talking about?
3 catches over that 5-game span. 3 catches per game is what he's averaging. This is unacceptable for somebody that you consider to be your number 1 receiver.
And I truly don't care about the money. What I do care about is this kid can dictate coverage. He can tell you if it's safety over the top or is it an outside linebacker underneath. That frees up all your rest of your receivers. That gives you a better run game. This guy can go into the red zone with his quick first step and take over a game, and you deny him what he is. That's the number 1 receiver slot.
Isaiah, you played both quarterback and wide receiver in the NFL, so you know both sides of it. What are some of the reasons to why Amari Cooper is not getting those receptions, those targets? Is it the coaching side? Is it the execution side? Even defense is playing him.
Yeah, I'm putting it on Kellen Moore.
Okay.
There's no way in the world I have an Amari Cooper on my team that I traded for and gave up equity for and paying this much money to with his ability to make big plays, and I'm not force-feeding him the ball. Unacceptable. Kellen Moore has to figure out a way. That's why you are in a position of offensive coordinator.
Amen.
It's very interesting to look at because in the early parts of the season, Amari Cooper was a featured part. This offense was rolling, and then once everybody got back, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, all healthy again, then all of a sudden the targets start going away from your number 1 receiver, at least in terms of the last couple of years. So Amari Cooper in that same category as well. But what about quarterback 1? How about Dak Prescott? Because there's a lot of the blame that relies on him for this offense trying to get back on track. How much pressure is on him to find his right footing over these last 3 games?
I would have to say all the pressure is on Dak Prescott out there. I mean, this is a guy, he's a QB1. He's a franchise leader, the face of the Dallas Cowboys. And like we talked about earlier, this guy has a hefty price tag on his back as well. So with that being said, they're paying this guy a lot of money. We need you to be that Dak Prescott we saw at the beginning of the season, where he was dealing and dicing every defense out there. We haven't seen it since the calf injury. Hopefully he's healthy all around together, but we need more out of number 4 out there.
I'm going to stand on this mountain by myself when I say that I don't think that the majority of pressure is on him. I think he has secondary pressure. The reason why I say that is because this is a run-first team. Regardless of what they're paying him, regardless of what they're trying to make him, throwing the ball 41 times a game or on average, this is a run-first team, and Dak Prescott's success is going to come on the back of this running game. Majority of the big plays come off of play action, and as long as you're making him drop back and throw the ball 40, 50 times a game, this team is not going to be as successful as they want to be.
You hear all during the week about, well, they're not blitzing him. They are blitzing him. But you know what? Run the ball and a fine Amari Cooper, and that'll dictate coverage, and that'll make all your reads that much easier. Offensive line is getting better. The pressure's on you, Dak. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Since the calf injury that he suffered in Week 6 against the Patriots prior to the bye week, he's lost 30 points, over 30 points on his passer rating. So he was in the mid-100s. Now he's in the mid-80s at the same time. So losing quite a bit of passer rating and opportunity for Dak Prescott. But here's how he thinks that this offense can get back on track this week.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get the ball to him. you'd much rather have a guy saying that and a guy hungry for the ball than him shying away from it in critical situations or just when you need to. So, yeah, it's a balance. I mean, you got a lot of playmakers on this team and on this offense, particularly when you're talking about the receivers. Not just those three, but the guys I said, and Malik behind him, and then you've got two great backs that it's only one ball. So, I mean, he understands that, and he does whatever he can to help the team when he's not getting the ball. But, yeah, we'd love to get him the ball more as much as some of the other guys.
How frustrating is you keep saying, and we keep saying, everybody keeps saying you got a lot of playmakers, but yet those playmakers, the offense is not producing.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing good defenses. We're in the NFL, and those other teams and those other the DCs and coaches and players, they all know what we have. So they're not going to go in the game and just give us a lot of those opportunities that give us the advantage. So they're doing a good job of taking some things that we do really well away and then making us stay patient and make plays underneath. And that's tough, but we're accepting the challenge and we're getting better through it.
As this thing goes week to week and you guys try to get this breakthrough to come through, are there new things that you try and look at or focus on week to week that each game kind of gives you a new opportunity to?
Yeah, I mean, each game presents a new opportunity. So I mean, yeah, there's some plays that maybe look at other teams have executed well, but in saying that it's a copycat league, but in the same sense, just getting back to what we do really well and making sure that we're fine-tuned and we're ready to execute what and who we are.
Got to find a way to get back to who they are. Dak Prescott, of course, giving his thoughts on some of the frustration around Amari Cooper and the offense as a whole. Here's some of the numbers. How about this? Offense is still number one in total yards, despite some of the struggles over the last 6 or 7 weeks. They're 6th in rushing, also 6th in passing. So I ask you guys, there's a lot of pressure on this offense to find a rhythm, but why is there such a high standard?
I would say it's a high standard because it's been like that for years here. It's always been the Dallas Cowboys is an offensive team, whether it's running the football, passing the football. It's always been about the offense, not really too much about the defense, and that hasn't changed this year.
Your personnel says that your expectations should be high. Your coaching staff says that you should have these expectations. Yep. So the combination of those two things, if you have the personnel, if you have the great coaching staff, then why aren't you having a production? They have to try to figure these things out, and they need to continue to raise their expectations.
Your head coach is all offense. The offensive coordinator, all offense. Everything is all about the offense. About from Dak to our 3 all-pro receivers supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Your money's on offense, man. 60% of it. Let's rock and roll.
And it really seemed like that offense did not get into a rhythm against Washington, despite going up 24-0. It was really the defense that put them in an opportunity to go up 24-0 at the halftime break against Washington back in Week 14. But as we take a look at some of the Cowboys getting ready in the warm-ups out at AT&T Stadium, now we move into one of the new challenges for the Cowboys, and that is Montez Sweat. As that Washington front did not have him back in Week 14. They have him this week, and of course he's had plenty of success against the Cowboys in the past, including the pick 6 against the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium last Thanksgiving. So here's the numbers. That's what he brings to the table. But what kind of challenge does he present up front as opposed to what they saw 14 days ago?
It's another all-pro explosive defensive end coming at your offensive line. And we know the left side of the offensive line right now is without Tyron Smith. So they're definitely going to be attacking it, probably with Sweat. He can bend. He has the speed to get around the edge. This offense has got to know where number 90 is at all times.
Sweat, Payne, Allen. Those guys are going to be a pain on our offensive line because they're going to be sliding they're going to be shifting to the left side of our offensive line. They're going to test out Nzeki. They're going to test out Connor Williams to see if he's actually the real thing or if he just have a one-game show. But they're going to find out today.
You know, I just believe this right here. They'll have a scheme for these guys. But Sweat, he can go to power to speed. He can go from speed to power. He's a total package. He's long. Everything about him is long. He's athletic and he's smart. So when you try to dink around with him and do these double reverses, it's not going to work. We're going to have to just go straight at him and run over him.
I'm glad you brought that up, Nate, because we've seen what he can do as a pass rusher, but what kind of difference would he make in terms of the running game?
He's okay. He's okay. I mean, Jack Del Rio demands that you stop that run so you have the ability to rush the passer, and he's okay as a run stopper. But I like to go at guys like that and make sure their hands are full of these 300-pound linemen. He need to be full of that.
Ooh, okay. Isaiah?
I can't back that up, man.
I'm with you on that. Big Nate Dog is the expert when it comes to the trenches. Yeah. I'm with you on that, Nate.
Why do you think I started with the man? He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. He's got it all down. But let's talk about the run game for the Cowboys. You mentioned it a moment ago when talking about Dak Prescott and the offense. It's not all on Dak. These guys have to get going again. Ezekiel Elliott had 12 carries, 45 yards in Week 14 against the Washington football team. Tony Pollard did not play against Washington. So, after last week as being the best representation of what these guys have done recently, Pollard had 74 yards compared to just 52 on more carries for Ezekiel Elliott. So, should Tony Pollard get more of the carries this week?
That's a tough one, man. That's a real tough one. But I'm going to stay with Zeke on this one because I feel like Zeke, even though he's kind of a 3 yards in a cloud of dust this year, what he brings to this offense is he kind of tenderizes that defense. He kind of breaks them down and makes them just, man, we don't want to hit these guys come the fourth quarter. And that kind of opens things up for Pollard. Pollard is explosive. He has the juice right now. And if you're just looking with your eyes, he seems like the better back. But we cannot just overlook what Zeke's been able to do to these defenses this year.
You sound like you've been on the grill before. Listen, I'm not going to say that one guy should have more playing time over the other. I do think you should go into it with Zeke as your number one and Pollard as your number two. Put these guys both in position to do what they do best, and whoever has a hot hand, take the pulse of the game and put them in position to be successful.
The last 2 weeks, these guys together combined have rushed for over 100 yards. They've averaged about 25 carries among them for us rushing the ball. It doesn't matter. What I like about this deal is Coach Kellen has found a way. I understand that one is an outside guy, one is an inside guy, and he's taking advantage of that. But when it comes crunch time, I need for Tony Pollard to step up because he's the most explosive guy, and you need your playmakers at all times. And until Zeke get back to who he was, if he does this season, we need Tony Pollard a little bit more.
125 yards for the Cowboys on the ground last week in a win over the New York Giants. They'll try and keep that momentum going and maybe even build a little momentum heading into the final 3 games of the year from the ground game side of things. Cowboys, of course, playing the Washington football team. 7:20 kickoff on NBC Sunday Night Football. Cowboys have won 4 of the last 5 at home against the Washington football team. So I ask you guys, how do they make it 5 of 6 with your keys to the game?
My keys to the game is simple. Let number 11, let number 90, let number 94 get after Heineke, make things hard for him like they did 2 weeks ago. 4 takeaways, why not? It's an easy win. Cowboys got this one.
I got 3 things for you, BC.
What's happening?
Well, wait. We get 3 keys.
Oh, you get 3 things.
3?
Run the ball.
Okay.
1.
Run the ball.
Okay.
Play action.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Switch it up a little bit.
Keys, but I'll let
you know what? You quarterback, wide receiver, I got 3 keys for you, too.
What's happening?
Don't drop the ball. Is that 4 or 3? Don't drop the ball. That's 4.
4.
Yeah, don't drop the ball.
Make it work, baby.
Don't drop the ball. I'm serious. If the Cowboys want to get our quarterback back going and get everything rolling, we have to not drop the ball. We have to make plays for him so his confidence can come fully back and you can start by doing it this game.
How about that? And before we do wrap things up here on 4, by the way, Nate, 4. Yes. Don't drop the ball. Good. Okay. All right. But before we wrap things up, we mentioned it at the start of the show. Want to hit it again. Cowboys are NFC East divisional champs because of the Las Vegas Raiders win over the Denver Broncos. And I want to ask you guys again, just in case we have some new viewers, how big is that for the Cowboys to wrap things up even before kickoff happens?
It's huge. It's huge. Now you have that goal out of the way. Now you can focus on what you need to get ready for the playoffs. This Dallas Cowboys team is ready.
It's just a box that you check. For me, I think the expectation should have been that coming into the season. Now that that's taken care of, now focus on trying to get the best seeding.
When I played, the East was everything. Now it's just the least, but you know what? We won it.
Hey, got it done. Troy Aikman won 6 of those. Dak Prescott has now won 3, tying Tony Romo's mark throughout his career. So it's the first time since 2018 that the Cowboys have won the division. It's also the 17th straight year without a repeat champion. They're playing the 2020 champion tonight in the Washington football team. But no. The Dallas Cowboys are 2021 NFC East champs, and they're going to try and continue that momentum into the final month of the regular season. We want to wish everybody, by the way, a happy holidays, a merry late Christmas, and continue from the entirety of our Cowboys family here from the Star in Frisco. We've got St. Natalis over here on the far side with the Santa red and everything, holiday red, and of course we want to wish you a happy holidays and a happy new year because we won't see you until after the new year is over. Next week against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals, but it's AT&T Stadium that's the center of the football world tonight. The Dallas Cowboys, the Washington football team, 7:20 kickoff, and that does it here on Cowboys Pregame Live. For Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, and our entire DallasCowboys.com crew, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you after the game.